Season 2 of the Pat and JT podcast.
Oh man, I'm here at last. The best time, always gonna be the best. Come on!
Exclusively on the Herd App Media Network.
And that's us, Herd App Media Network, Pat and JT. It's Pat and JT on social. If you're on Facebook and YouTube, it's Pat and JT. You're watching our live show. If you're listening to this, make sure you listen and watch it on Friday and Monday mornings, because we show things that don't really translate to just audio.
Right. And we're trying to be a little bit better about not having videos that have no words. So at least you can hear something.
Right.
But just so you know, we've got Reagan with us. She's going to be in the studio.
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to be joined by Nick Pickey here shortly. And then we're going to have a special guest. His computer just crashed. And so he's restarting his computer to come back in Chrome. And this is going to be a real TBF. Since it is Friday.
What's a TBF?
Throwback Friday.
Oh.
Okay. Because he used to be on our show for a long time, and he was always on Fridays when we would have his experience, if you think you know who that might be. So that's coming.
Maybe.
Well, yeah.
We'll
so I'll wait and see if I get another text from him and see what's going on. But he's excited to do this. So this will be a lot of fun today. And I wanted him here so he could see the Nick Pickey segment, which he'd appreciate that we have a fact checker now.
Right. Now that he's this big attorney and everything's got to be buttoned up. And
Careful, don't give away everything.
Oh, okay. My
I
bad.
haven't said his name yet. And good
I'm
morning.
surprised that Nick has so much stuff to fact check us on.
Well, he's picky.
Yeah, he's super picky.
Nick Pickey. But yeah, he's got a couple of things he wanted to throw away. So before we get going, I guess I hate to just roll in and not have our special guest already in the studio.
Oh, there he is. Okay, I see him he's in the green room. Do we bring him in first and then go to Nick Pickey?
I'll tell you what, he can hear us, so we wanted him to watch.
Okay.
So you in the green room. I like his name, Reality Has Been.
Yeah. I know who he is for sure.
All right. So
okay, so Nick Pickey.
You know what's going down. Nick Pickey is we start our Friday segments, and that's kind of a look back of what we did during the week. And Nick is our fact checker.
Here we go.
Hello, Pat and JT. Wonderful week on the show. Full of people with good vibes. Both Bailey and Noah, just good energy type of people. So another killer week. Quick fact check for you. Two things. First off, Bailey mentioned something about Russell Crowe fighting backstage at the Oscars. And I could not find anything about that incident happening in the past. And she wasn't sure it was the right person. So one of two things is happening. I either have the wrong backstage fighting. And of course, when you start researching fighting Oscars, the only thing that comes up is this week's Will Smith debacle. Or a second option is the Oscars have scrubbed it from the internet, and that's exactly what they want us to think. The other thing is more just about the Oscars in general. I agree, especially with your initial take, that kind of 2 thumbs down on this event. Like the fighting on stage and then not doing anything with Will Smith after, or not getting escorted. But if something sucks and we continue to talk about it, people are going to tune in more next year. It kind of helps the Oscars that we're all talking about it. So I'm interested to hear your guys' response to that, of maybe we should just not talk about the Oscars, cancel them in the literal sense of just let's take them off air and fill our time with whatever other Netflix shows or anything else we're getting entertained by. So I'll be watching the live, so I'm interested to hear what y'all have to say about that.
All right. Interesting. He was very well lit.
He was, yeah. I think, he was very well lit. He looked good. I think I wasn't watching the Oscars when it happened, so I was already canceled them because I was watching Bravo, just saw on Twitter. So
I wasn't watching either. That's what got, and I saw the clips, right? But then I went back. But like I said, I kind of in and out because I did see a little bit of them on the red carpet earlier before the show got rolling, which was ironic because that's the only part of the red carpet that I saw was him and his wife, and then boom, there they are. Interesting. Let's go back to Bailey's point real quick, and actually let's bring our boy John in because I know he always has something to say about Hollywood.
We wish we had an intro for John. We used to. Did we used to have an intro for you, John Carroll?
My gosh, has it been that long?
Look, okay, you gotta look over at your camera.
What's that?
Look over at your camera
Oh,
so we
look
can
at
see
my,
your
here, let me
face.
move my camera.
Okay.
That's even better. That's even better because we like to see.
There we
your face.
go.
There
That's
we
better.
go.
What's up, buddy?
Guys,
What's
John
up?
Carroll is back.
I got a little whoop-de-doo thing going on over here. I got a face for radio.
Yeah.
Now I got a whoop-de-doo for
Right?
radio.
And then you're going
Do you know
backwards
that I'm
because-
dyslexic with, we've talked about this before. I do not know my left from right when I'm looking like at my reflection. So I have to
Yeah.
like do this.
Turn around.
I
Really?
have to turn around because I'm like, okay, is it go? No. it
No.
goes.
Your hair looks
have to
fine.
do-
It looks fantastic.
It's like that. See, I can't even like,
I
it's
see where-
weird. I've always been that way. Like if I comb my hair in the mirror, it's like I do this instead
Are
of
you
this.
wait? Are you looking at a mirror image of yourself, or are you looking at?
I'm looking at my like it's like I'd be like in a camera, like at a mirror, right? My camera's here.
Mine's not. Mine's the opposite. Because
So's
if I
mine.
have, so
Messes
I'm
me up.
looking. Mine's opposite, and so I always get mixed up when
yeah,
I'm
but
looking.
now look
'cause
what
I'm
I've done to my hair.
Yeah.
I
Well,
kind of look
Yeah.
like Dennis from. See, I
Oh my
can't
God.
even.
Might as well just
Look,
go
I'm
home.
doing it the wrong way.
you're doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So did you? Okay, let's just back up here. Did you watch the Oscars?
I watch the Oscars every year. So what I would like to talk about is how I once again won the Oscar ballot pool. Got 6 wrong, and everybody every year accuses me of cheating, which I don't. I read a lot of stuff, throughout the year because I'm a huge movie buff. I will go to the opening of an envelope if it's filmed. And so yeah, that part, it's very interesting. We had a very robust conversation, like literally just, I think we even like put the thing on hold because we went from, was that a gag, and so the walk up, the slap, even the walk back, we were like, oh, I mean, what a gag, but holy cow. But then whatever happened with the editing, the 5-second delay or whatever, all of a sudden the F-bombs and the look in his eyes. And we were like, oh my gosh, he actually went up there and slapped him. And first we were like, what, is he going to punch him? Was it a punch slap? Was it just a slap? Was it?
He was trained to be Ali.
Right. I mean, he could have he could have knocked him out if he wanted to, right? But I mean, nonetheless, it was obvious that he had laid hands on him. And then we ended up with this very robust conversation that ran the gamut of, I knew she had alopecia, but I also knew that, she'd been very vocal about the process and, learning to get comfortable with it, maybe not necessarily accept it. I mean, we went all over the place, but, really at the end of the day, we just were like, you know what, this is such a volatile mess because it hits so many different areas. And then on top of it, there's a lot of conversation about Black women and, and I mean, it just went into all these other areas. And then, so I finally, I'm taking the Daniel Radcliffe version of it is, I have nothing more to say about the subject. That is the safest place to be, is whatever happened between him, Chris and Will, is between Chris and Will to sort out as individuals, and whatever the Academy needs to do because one of their guests physically assaulted, a presenter. I can tell you when I was on Survivor 20 years ago, it was burned into our brains that no matter how volatile it got on the island, and no matter what kind of headbutting you were doing, if you laid hands on another player, your game was over. You would forfeit all your, earnings that you would have, and you would be kicked off the show. So I just kind of look at that, that's just been burned. Is like, you just, no matter how mad you get, the line is, you do not
Ever.
lay hands on.
So the
another
fact that they not only, allegedly, whatever, asked him to leave, he didn't. The police were there to arrest him. Chris
Right.
Rock said no. But the fact that they let him accept his award, got a standing ovation. It was like, do you think it was just like everybody didn't know what to do? So they're like, well, let's just default to clapping because we don't know what the heck to do.
Did you see the story that came out on TMZ? It just came out yesterday or last night, that they said that Will Smith was never asked to leave.
Well, it's like
And
a
that they
moving
had a
target.
question. Well,
Right.
they had several conversations, they said, during commercial breaks. And then finally, the producer, his name's Will Packer, he
Mhm.
walked up to Will and said, 30 minutes later, he said, "We don't want you to leave." And 5 minutes later was when he got his award.
Right.
So he was told he could stay. As they said that Will Packer walked up to Will Smith just after 8 p.m. I'm sorry, it was about 35 minutes after the slap, and told he could stay. And 5 minutes later, he was awarded his Best Actor award.
So weird.
But they never did actually ask him. And I
Yeah.
think, wasn't there another thing too about, was it P. Diddy? Who was involved that said, oh, they worked it out, or they talked to each
Yeah,
other?
it could have been him.
And then he said, I never said that. I said the brothers will get together and they'll work it out. So
Mhm.
he
Right.
said, I never said they were good. And then Chris Rock had his show
Stand up. Right.
the next night and sold out. After the it wasn't sold out prior, but it was sold out after this happened. And he went out there and basically said, I had a bunch of really good stuff written for this show, so we're going to do that. How was your weekend? Ha ha ha. And I'm still processing this, and someday I'll have something to say. It'll be serious, but it'll be funny.
Yeah.
And so then he just went on with his show and just left it there.
It was
But-
just, bottom line is, it was gross. I love the
Mhm.
Oscars because I love film. I love to, just the whole award season, I think, is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's the competitor in me at heart, watching it. But, if you take away that, considering that a lot of these films were made during the pandemic, there was just some really good work that was put, out there. And I think I saw almost all, if not all, the Best Picture nominees. And
Get out of here. Did you really?
yeah, I mean, I'm like I love all of it. Yeah. I kind of follow the screenplay, the adapted, original. I
Mhm.
follow all the major acting awards, directing, Best Picture. Pretty much those are the big ones that I like to
That good stuff.
kind of follow and see kind of right at the beginning of the year what's coming out. And I like remember Joker, that first trailer caught out. I was
Yeah.
tweeting, and it's like, give Joaquin the Oscar now. I am predicting it now that he is going to win just on the trailer
Mhm.
alone. It was just so
There were some of the
phenomenal
movies
what
that were
jumped off
nominated
that
I'd never
screen.
even heard of. I mean,
Right.
that?
Me too.
some of the movies I hadn't even heard of.
Yeah,
King
some of
Richard I
it,
did,
like
but-
we had to kind of go look to try to find, where where they were streaming or what theater they might still be in. But I knew when I saw Coda, I told Chatty, I said, this is going to be the dark horse. This is going to be the one that sneaks up on people because it's such a good film, and it's such a unique subject matter that a lot of people might have heard of the term Coda, but not really understood that whole kind of dynamic. And I think it would speak to a lot of families. For example, you might have families that are non-English speaking, but then their children are English speakers, so they become the translators for the families. So the children of deaf adults are in that same boat, and so there's obviously that whole dynamic
Mhm.
that's involved of having to be kind of an adult child, that you're translating at such a young age. And then, of
Mhm.
course, the beautiful story that they told. But I did have that picked as Best Picture. But originally, it was not my original. I had Power of the Dog as my original,
Yeah.
kind of leading the pack. But then I saw Coda, and I
No
saw
pun
the
intended, right?
platform. What's that?
You're no pun intended with your dog leading the pack.
Oh yes, there you go. But it was on Apple Plus, and I because we were having a hard
Mhm.
time finding the other films, and I was like, every time I would go to look for another film, guess what film I saw? Coda. And so I was like, so smart the way that they just kind of let this just out there, and then word of mouth, and it's a great film with some great
Mhm.
performances. So yeah, I was not surprised that it had just enough time to become the front runner, and it was such a feel good movie.
Mhm.
It ticked off so many different boxes. So yeah, I was very, very happy that they won.
Interesting. I'm seeing some of the comments and over here, people chiming in. Others agreeing hadn't seen or even heard of most of the films. One said I saw all the nominees for Best Animated Movie. That was Laura. Another one, harkening back now. Let's talk back about Will Smith. People chiming in on that as well. I like Jim Carrey's input.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
I did too. I
Mhm.
did too, because he was coming from obviously, as a comedian and just talking about just in general. It's not about the show so much as about just there are certain lines and there are certain boundaries, and that some things obviously some people. Well, Will Smith crossed several of them, and then also had video. And I don't know. I know we got Reagan in the green room right now. I know she was working on a video. Did she grab that video? Hi,
Yes,
Reagan.
I did. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Reagan. I want you to meet John, by the way.
John, nice to meet you.
Yep. She's our organizer and producer extraordinaire, and keeps the wheels on.
I'm an intern,
Right. This video came out and somebody was sitting behind Jada when this went down. And it gives a different perspective as far as her reaction to what was going on stage.
Most people have not seen. Look at Jada's reaction.
Oops.
That's where he's dropped that.
That's all right, because then she laughed at the end of that segment. After the second time he said it, she did another one of her laughs. And so it's like, it seemed to betray what was actually coming down, what was happening.
Did you see what Ricky Gervais said? Because we've talked about him before.
I love what he said.
I wouldn't have made fun of her hair. I would have made fun of her boyfriends.
Right.
Well, that I think what's oh my God, that's great. What's funny too is some people are trying to make the distinction as well as that he was making fun of his wife, and that you can't do that. And I do agree with that, except for the fact that she's famous too, because most of the wives or the spouses aren't famous, and she's kind of a public person herself. But there's a lot to unpack in that whole.
Well, I like what Ricky said, because to me that felt like the most honest thing, because one of the things I thought about is now with the Golden Globes gone, all of that kind of take Hollywood down a notch because of all these entitled people. And people forget that not everybody in that audience was born these multimillionaires. I mean, there's lots of stories of people that are just like us, that start off food stamps and a free lunch card and all the things. And you just work you work your way through life. But the thing I saw or I felt was that with Golden Globes, because of all their issues, that kind of ribald locker room kind of humor is for the Golden Globes. And I felt like a lot of it was even like the gags that the three women were doing. A lot of those I was like, holy cow, you've got three women that have the opportunity here that are hosting, and yet it was really not really pro-woman and many of the
wasn't bits. Amy Poehler, weren't they was that right?
And Tina Fey.
And Tina Fey, because they hosted for a number of years, and it basically has always been somewhat of a roast,
right?
Because you kind of go around the room and you do and this and that.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying, because of coming off of what they've come off of, the fact that they pulled all hosts for however many years, and then they tried to sprinkle them back in. You'd think they would kind of, instead of just diving in the deep end, maybe dip their toe in it. I'm still of the mindset, as far as what, in my opinion, but that's just me. But of what he said to me, it seemed like a compliment, because she was showing up and she was showing out, and she was standing tall, she was bedazzled, she was like, here it is, and wore that magnificent dress that was like a suit of armor. But basically the G.I. Jane reference to me is like, what a badass.
I really don't think he knew about her alopecia. I really don't. Joe Rogan mentioned that this week too. He's like, I don't, because I read a lot of stuff and I hadn't heard about that. I just don't think they he probably is not watching the whatever red
The
table.
red table.
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm always surprised when you actually hear other celebrities who are like at that level. They're so busy being at that level. They're not watching television. I mean, there'll be stars and celebrities that come and go, and unless they're like at that A-list level, they have no idea. You know
what?
I'm constantly amazed at how out of touch people in Hollywood are with the people that are actually in Hollywood. It's more like somebody like me who loves pop culture that is, you know, you can put me in any trivia contest and I'm going to do pretty okay.
Well, that's just across the board.
But my point earlier was that I think that what I liked about what Ricky said is, you know, you can roast somebody, but, you know, going after their appearance versus the dumb controversies that they put themselves in. To me, the controversy is is fair game, especially if you're monetizing it and you're using it to keep your celebrity alive and keeping yourself in the press. The line where you're actually attacking somebody's physical appearance, you know, I think that for me is kind of where the line is, because it's just so fraught with so many people have things, you know, that maybe they have about themselves that they laugh off or they put on a brave face, but you don't really know what's actually going on internally about that, no matter what they say outwardly, what it actually still means inwardly. But, you know, when you've got yourself a little boyfriend, a little side hustle, and now you talk
an entanglement.
You know, and you talk about that openly, then for comedians, I'm like, guess what? That's probably fair game.
Yeah.
So,
that's true. You know,
it was just ugly, all
interesting
of it.
though.
I'm just ready for it to be over and move on.
Along that same line of thinking, though, John, you may have seen too that the news came out about Bruce Willis having was it aphasia, right?
Aphasia,
And that just recently, then just right on the heels of that, the Razzies have now announced that they are rescinding their awards that they gave to him. Because if you might remember this last year, they literally had a category called Worst Performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie because he put out so many movies this last year. Now finding out that he literally had an earpiece in and people were feeding him his lines because he was his cognitive issues were already starting to show up. And I just find it devastating to think that that's what's happening. But they said that they were talking about some of the other people that have gone through this in varying degrees. Sharon Stone is one of them. After she had her stroke, and she had to completely relearn everything in order to come back. And there was a couple others that they had mentioned that had gone through the same thing that were much younger. But fortunately, he is surrounded by a lot of people that are going to be taking care of him, but they're just like, okay, we're going to step away from this. But it's interesting that he did go on and make those movies this last year, though, even with the earpiece and knowing they had to.
So imagine, your finish line, you're staring at it, you know what I mean? And putting yourself in those shoes of, you know, and you don't know how fast it will accelerate. You don't know, if it's a broader dementia problem, is it going to be something that with speech therapy and other things might be able to, be mitigated or, hopefully somewhat reversed, or if this is just some kind of a form of dementia that, hits the speech part of his brain. And, it's just going to be a really sad, course. Ugh.
Right.
I saw that. And I was just like, wow. But I loved how the family, even though that they were a divorced family, how, the kids and everybody are just, both blended families are like, nope, we're doing this all together and we're in it together. And
it seems like him and Demi have been kind of that way since they got divorced. Like even like him and Ashton
He
hung out.
sheltered with him and the girls, I think, during COVID. They were.
I loved because I follow her on Instagram and she's just living her best life, and it's cool to see because she had her struggles,
A couple more comments here for you. Just backing up what you were saying, John. Carmen said, I just jumped in, but as an interpreter in the deaf world, Coda was freaking amazing.
Yep, I agree.
Also said, I wish it hadn't been overshadowed. Yes, 100%. But it wasn't
Questlove.
Right? And who was the director that won June? What was the director's name that won the
Jane
award?
Campion.
Yeah, and nobody's even talking about anything, right? And then Christina, she just said, "Hey, Chris Rock, didn't he found or fund the doc Good Hair,
Yeah.
which focuses on women with alopecia?" And said,
And just black hair and the relationship.
and it says that, yeah, and that
Yeah.
somehow there might be some connection, but she also does agree that it did sound like a compliment to her,
Yeah.
rather than a punch down.
Yeah.
But interesting. So,
I
and yes,
think one of these days when it gets out of the heat of all of it, and you can take a step back and look at all the various issues, like you just don't know exactly what the trigger was for it. If it was, was it supposed to be a joke, but he actually accidentally hit him and then had to.
but he never apologized to
Right.
him.
I mean, it's like, did it lose control of the whole thing? Because at first I literally thought it was a gag and, just a movie slap. It was very exaggerated. And
it was almost like old school Batman, like
Right.
damn cow, because it was
Bam,
like,
bam,
ow, and he just like that open hand
but
went
even
across.
like the way he launched back, but then it was like, and then all of a sudden it just turned, and then that was what was so confusing, was like,
Right.
what the hell did we just see?
And then the screaming from the audience, right?
Right. And
Oh.
and then people, I think, were in such shock because everybody's, they gave him a standing ovation because he won. I'm like, I mean, what do you do in that circumstance? Everybody on the outside could just point fingers all you want, but until you're in a moment like that, I mean, think about it. The Oscars, what, 95 years or something like that? Never in almost a century had any event like, and if you go back even 25 years ago, the Oscars was like royalty. I mean, it was,
Seriously, it was. And I gotta,
it's a very different show now because it's trying to play for ratings as opposed to just being an award show for like the penultimate in acting and in filmmaking.
I agree.
And now it's like trying to be kind of Golden Globe-ish, but also still wants to be that staid, upper brow.
Do you feel like they kind of lost something when they made it 10 entries in the best movie category instead of just, it's like they wanted everybody to be included.
Participation award.
Right? And it's like,
yeah, these are the people that everybody got a ribbon back in fourth grade for the field day. They're like, I remember not
finish the race.
Ribbon.
Good, you get a ribbon.
Right. I remember not getting ribbon. You know why? Because I was fat and I couldn't run. I couldn't jump. I couldn't. And I'm like, well, if I want a ribbon, I got to.
I didn't deserve a ribbon.
I did deserve a ribbon. So it's like not everybody deserves to get nominated.
All that therapy undone in 1 second, Pat.
Right.
oh God, it's track and field day. Crap.
Oh goodness.
Presidential Fitness Award. What the?
Right, and then I got to go back to my afternoon classes. I'm going to stink. I'm going to have.
You don't understand. I got an A in home ec.
Right. Made the best tank top you've ever seen.
I always got extra credit. Can't you tell?
Oh my God. All right. So I think we've covered all we can cover there. And I think you bring great, we'll just kind of move on. And Laura popped in also. So many things we can be talking about instead. Coda, Troy Kotzer, Jane Campion, right? I mean, yes, absolutely. There were a lot of great stories that come out of it. It's just going to take a while for them to rise to the top.
Right.
You know what?
They will.
And I was thinking about this when you guys were talking. It's been, how long has it been since John's been on our podcast? Has it been since we talked about the flooding and everything that happened at your farm? Has it been that long?
2 years.
Like right about then.
I mean, your farm got
2
decimated.
years or 3 years.
Yeah. So it's March 15th to be 3 years.
3 years
from the Nebraska floods.
And you guys bounced back pretty well?
What's that?
You guys bounced back pretty well?
I mean, it's, oh my gosh, just all of the support of the community. And, and really, I mean, we were able to, there's some like outbuildings and stuff that got hit. And we just were like, you know what, we'll just let her, live the, the rest of their building life as we get as much use out of them. And now it looks pretty dilapidated. So we'll have some work to do this spring to clean up like our chicken coop. I looked the other day and like tar paper is kind of flapping. Like, well, this would be a great movie set for like something.
Slasher film or
where something bad happens. Just
Killer in the chicken coop.
Right.
You guys have little houses. Are your little houses up and running and back?
Yeah. And we, what's cool is over the last, and I think it really started showing up with the pandemic is we've got a lot of locals that like to do winter camping. So we don't have any running water during the winter, but there's just people who are like, you know what, I just want to get away and get fresh air. We'll bring our own water, you know, and we've got little, you know, heaters and such for them. So we were still through the winter renting, you know, out for, you know, a couple rentals a week all the way through the winter. Chad's, you know, not super thrilled about it because it's cold, you know, cleaning them. But yeah, we got 2 tiny houses that the one got knocked out of service because of the flood. So it took about a year to get that back. But yeah, we've got our 2 tiny houses, and he said he doesn't know what's going on now, but they're booking up like crazy. And I think it's just enough word of mouth. And we showed up on a couple tourist things, like if you're in Nebraska,
there's been a couple of interesting documentaries and news stories done, John.
Right. Yeah. We were on Nebraska Stories. We were the kickoff for this year's series, Nebraska Stories. So on our Willow Valley Farms website, we've got a bunch of links to our media, but like our goats have kind of just become like their own little media darling, and they've got you know, their own little life
followers.
They're kind of celebrity animals now.
How many goats do you have, John?
A lot.
I know, and when like right toward the beginning, or maybe it's kind of in the middle of the pandemic, you and Chad let Beth and Sophia and I come out and kind of watch your evening routine with those goats, and it's unbelievable. I get nervous when a dog's off leash in the city and there's like 300 goats just running, and Chad just says a word and they move. It's crazy.
He's like he's almost got a border collie instinct in him, doesn't he?
Yeah, and you know what's amazing? He'll come to the office. There's a little office, we call it the goat office, and he's got like stuff in there, you know, like genetic, you know, information and all the things that we do, you know, on the farm. So but it has like no windows. So he'll go in there, and 30 seconds later, you open that door, and it literally smells like the goat pasture. I'm like, do you have any understanding of what you smell like when you leave the farm? I mean, it's like, pungent. I'm like, I didn't realize like how it's kind of like when we were on Survivor and we got off the island, and then they brought your old clothes back. It was like, whoa, my God. That's how like Chad is. Like, he doesn't even like care anymore. He's been doing the goat thing and the farm thing for so long. He's just like part goat. But if you follow his Willow Valley Farms Instagram, he's doing some really fun things. There is a hat maker called Gorin Brothers. And so Chad saw some of their basically baseball caps, and one of them had a goat on it. So he reached out to them and said, hey, if you send me one of your hats, I'll do some videos. So anyway, so he did one, and it's got, I want to say like 10 or 12,000 views. And it's just him wearing the hat, walking the goats, and all the other videos on there are like a couple thousand. I mean, Chad's a like jump out there, and it's just him with the goats. And just
tell me he got a kickback. Awesome. Tell me he's getting a kickback.
No, he's not figured out how to monetize any of that stuff. So he just has fun. And but he puts out a lot of videos of just him in the evening, and we have just people that will just follow him just because it's relaxing and fun to see what the goats are doing and all of that. But yeah, so the farm's doing great. We have 12 peacocks now. We started off with a couple. Pedro is kind of so Pedro was a peacock that we got right before the flood, and so I had him I put him in a small aviary so he would get bonded to the farm, so he just would not run away the moment we let him out the door. And so I could not get within like 15 feet of him during all of that time because he was pretty feral. Well, then the flood came and he was in that aviary, and all of a sudden the water just jumped up over those 12-14 hours, and I realized that coop was flooding. And so we had some quail and guinea, and Pedro was in there. So we tied a rope around my waist, and then I went out and went to open the door, and the water was like, up to here.
Oh my God.
And that's unfortunately insane. Some of them had already drowned. And so I yelled, go get a pillowcase. So he went and got a pillowcase. I waded back out there, and I literally was just grabbing birds out of the water and stuffing them in this pillowcase, and then going and just dumping them out on the dry land. And then I'd go back. And so Pedro was the last, and he was up on the there's a little roost, but the water was like up to here on him, and he was just gripping the roof with his. So I came in and just tucked him underneath my arm and kind of held him like a football, and just worked my way back out of the water and then put him on the land. And that night he roosted on our little deck right outside our bedroom. And every night for 2 weeks he was there. And then the rest of the summer he flipped to the cottonwood that looks over. And by the time that whole thing was done, he would come to the door and greet me in the morning. We have all these videos, and I would give him treats, and it was crazy how we just bonded. And so his job is he's kind of like the guard dog, the guard peacock, and he's so cool. And now I've got a couple videos where he takes treats out of my mouth.
I saw that last
all
week.
kinds of stuff. Yeah, he's an amazing animal, and he goes and visits people in the neighborhood, and he'll just display, and they get their photos, and they'll email us and text. It's like, oh, Pedro came up and the kids got a full display. He showed off for 20 minutes and then he just left.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he loves flour tortillas and cheddar cheese and almonds. So those are his 3 favorite treats. You give him those 3 things and he will be your bestie.
He's your bestie.
He's got about a mile radius that he'll go and visit people up and down the road.
That's crazy.
And just hang out with them. One of our neighbors was chopping wood, and he said, yeah, Pedro just came and was watching me chop wood, and I was kind of bored and by myself, and he just made my afternoon as I was chopping wood, and he was displaying and hanging out with me for an hour, and then I got done and I went in and he left.
Aw, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
cool.
that. That's cool. That's cool. So so if your information though on your website or on the Facebook page, if people wanted to maybe just get out of town for a little bit.
A little tiny house night and
drink
some wine, and we got little campfires there that people can do. And
your farmers market coming back this summer?
Yeah. So I started making this thing called Willow Valley Farm 7-pepper peach jam, and I was making pepper jam and peach preserve jam, and then I was like, I wonder if I smash these 2 things together, and it's amazing. So we planted 25 peach trees last year, and I had probably 30 different pepper varieties. So you're guaranteed to get 7 different kinds of peppers, from hot all the way to sweet. And it's in the kind of medium range by the time it cooks down and all that. But you can put it on salmon, cream cheese, peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it's awesome.
That sounds great.
So next year I'll be selling a lot more of that. That's my big project.
I was gonna say, wasn't the first time you made jam, was that from the pear tree I had?
Yeah, the pear butter.
Yes, he made pear butter, because I had a pear tree in my backyard in the house that I lived in. It had an apple tree and a pear tree, and I swear to God, I was just like, that is the dumbest thing on earth. When you live in town, in a yard, you have to mow, because all you end up doing is mowing over fruit and just shooting it across the yard. Hope you don't take your puppy out.
Bees and wasps loving to show your yard sweet. Yeah.
And then if you leave it out, then you get the gnats and the fruit flies and all that.
The yellow
crap
jackets.
dying.
All the things show up eating the nectar and stuff out of the sugar.
I was never so glad to see him show up with a bunch of paper bags and take all that fruit away. That was awesome. Thank you. But
I made some mean pear butter, apple butter, and peach butter. So good.
That sounds fantastic. Well, I tell you where we're at right now in the program is where we hit the TikToks, and we let Reagan take over the show here. And so she brings us a handful of TikToks each week. Actually, this time she brought one, Pat brought one, and I brought one. So we're going to throw out some TikToks. I'm going to just let you run it, though.
Reagan, go ahead.
Let me pull up our list here so I can actually see what we're looking at. Also, John, I've known you. Oh, sorry.
There's only one from that list. This says the Subway one. The other one.
The Subway one.
I was just gonna say I've known John now for 30 minutes, and I feel like he's done more things than I think I will ever accomplish in my own lifetime.
Oh, we didn't even scratch the surface, Reagan.
Like what a true Renaissance man. Just
Reagan, you have no idea.
Oh my God, John, can we get you back next Friday? Do you think?
Yeah, I'll come back. This is fun.
I think I forgot I was also on the podcast, because I was just sitting here listening, and I was like, oh, every once in a while I'm just throwing a little giggle because I forgot that I was actually being recorded as well. Because I was
he's done military nurse. He was a nurse. He's an attorney. He's on Survivor. Still are. Yeah. So
Pat, did you do the internal medicine this week?
Oh, I didn't do internal medicine. We'll have John on next week. See, I
John can help you with
I
that.
describe my weekly infections to Reagan, and she has to guess what they are because she has an EMT background.
Oh.
Mhm.
I know it sounds for saying that to an attorney, it sounds terribly inappropriate.
Yeah.
But it's actually not awful.
Guess what I have?
Yeah,
Oh,
That's what I found down there.
essentially.
Essentially, that's what it's been. That's like,
Why does that smell like that?
right? Quit smelling it. That's
Oh,
I
that's
don't
funny.
smell it.
all right. So Reagan, you go right ahead. Whichever one you
Okay.
want to throw out there.
Let's hop into the Subway TikTok. This one was sent to me by a friend, and I thought it was just funny, so I thought we should watch it. So
Okay.
Do you ever think about how Subway is constantly involved in drama, but they don't care? Every year, someone's like, the tuna has rusty nails and sawdust in it. And they'll literally have a press conference and they'll be like, and what? And what? They don't care. Bitches will still get a $5 footlong, toasted, you know? And not for nothing, it doesn't matter where you go in this world, there is a Subway there, okay? Alaskan wilderness, hiking for hours, and you just end up at one. They're like, hey, you want an Italian BMT? I guess, you know? Like, what am I supposed to do?
It's true.
it's so true. Like
They don't care.
They
You
just
can't
don't care.
cancel them. You can't
no,
cancel
you
them.
can't. They're the uncancelable.
The
Mhm.
cockroach of sandwich.
I literally just had that experience. I was like driving somewhere and I was starving. I come around a corner and no, I was driving Omaha. I had to go to Waverly, go to the Tractor Supply up there. And I was starving and I was looking and then I like turned to my left and it's like Subway. And I'm like, no,
We are here.
no,
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not doing it.
That's awesome. All right. So Pat, do you want to do yours
Yeah.
next or?
I just don't know if this one. I'm bringing it to the table because I laughed really hard at it, and I'm like, "Is this real? Is this fake?" Because I had never seen this clip before, but these people at the beginning say it's unedited, so I trust them. So, what do you guys think?
Ladies and gentlemen, a genuine unedited clip of Alabama's governor.
We're getting a slight increase in the number of doses that we'll be getting to the state.
Wow.
I know. And
She had just finished her Subway. She's like going to the press conference, and the only thing that they could find.
They say that's why they always say smaller bites. Take smaller bites.
right. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Has
that's
napkins
scary.
still in there, and then she goes up.
Ladies and gentlemen, a genuine unedited clip of Alabama's governor.
We're getting a slight increase.
It's more than a burp, though. That was like more than just a burp. You know
It
what I
was,
mean?
uh,
Like, that
But it
was
didn't seem to really surprise her.
no.
I mean, it snuck up on her, but
and she ticked back. Like, what? The velocity of it
it just
I don't
kept
know.
going.
The
You guys
people
say
next
real
to
or
her
fake?
having to, like keep a straight face because you know that thing stunk.
Mm. All right. Okay, so the next one here, this is one of these play along. So we're gonna see, you know how you do the rub your tummy and tap your head
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
So you know, and you
But I
try
can't look in the mirror when I do it.
okay. You want so this one, and actually we had another one for you, and we can't find it. If anybody else knows where this one is, Pat, you might want to explain it, but it's the one to learn how to whistle.
Yeah.
Mm.
Can you farm whistle, John, since you are on a farm? Like with your fingers?
No, my sister could.
Yeah.
She was really good at that. She did that one.
Yeah.
And my dad would do two-fingered one. He
Yeah.
did some kind of a two-finger, and my sister did two-handed one, and I just do it with my mouth.
So,
Right, I
Reagan,
can't-
can you do it?
No.
And the way the video showed was like you had your hands together and you line up the two little lines on underneath your pinky fingers and then bring these together.
What?
I can almost do it. This is horrible sounding. Okay.
Aren't you supposed to like bend your tongue back when you do it too, like with your finger?
Oh, the video didn't say that. Okay, one more
Oh.
time. What?
See?
You like that's like the governor burped. You're surprised.
Okay, so
Okay.
No.
from
Yeah.
this one, we go to this one. Good luck.
Pinky, finger. Switch them. Switch them.
He makes it look so easy. What are you doing now? Fucking hell, man. Get them! If you do it with your eyes closed, you'll not think about it. Fuck! Ah! You've got this. You've got this. You've got this.
Okay.
Reagan's got it.
I almost did, and then I
So what do
started
you
to
do?
Pinky and finger. And then switch them.
My like pinky was getting like locked into.
Absolutely ridiculous.
My pinky was like getting like locked
Reagan,
into
and
place.
I was
like,
watching Reagan's face when we were watching the video, and you were so hyper focused. Like you had your tongue out. You're like,
That's what I do when I'm like really focused on something. I have my tongue out. So in high school, I did pole vault, and I would have my tongue out when I was trying to go to do the pole vault jump, and my coach yelled at me because she thought I was going to bite off my tongue.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's so horrible.
I can't.
I can't either.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
It's.
That was a good one though.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
So next week, John, bring a TikTok.
I will. I'll find a TikTok.
Yeah,
And I see you dropped an F-bomb, so it doesn't have to be F-bomb proof.
No, so we
Oh,
can
good,
put a
because you're not
disclaimer.
on radio anymore. So
Yep.
all those things I couldn't say before, I can now say.
Imagine
You can say it.
The stuff that you did say. We'll tell the story next week. But where you were over and over talking about the name of a shot, but was
Yeah.
also a sexual thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
and it's a shot.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's also that thing.
And you can't say that on the radio. And then he'd
Yeah.
say, what? That?
You
And
can't
we
say blah. Yes, that.
It was
Stop.
hilarious. It was awesome. Yeah, we're gonna go down that road. Probably talk about how you got in the military, how the
Mhm,
beginning of your military career started.
mhm.
That was a great weekend. I just
Oh my
just
God.
It's been a
making
minute.
making out with Anna Nicole.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
You got that
Britney
one.
Spears,
Yeah.
being in Britney Spears video.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So there are
Yeah.
a lot of things that people that are listening to our podcast now maybe didn't hear 10, 20 years, 15 years ago,
Mhm.
whatever. So
Yeah.
it'd be nice to tell those stories again.
Yeah.
The John Carroll experience is back.
Yep.
That's
Do you have
right.
your cup?
Oh, no, I'll bring it next week. I forgot it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring
Okay.
it next week.
Shout out to the Soul Chicks.
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, thanks for coming in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Reagan, thanks for everything.
Well, they're not like soul chicks anymore. They're probably like soul grandmothers.
Yeah.
Soul Grandma.
Not Soul Spring Chicks anymore.
Right.
Still, you could get in trouble for that.
Soul old layer head.
Soul old chicks? Soul chick. No, that's mean because they're not that old. I know that. Denise said, I missed the rest of the episode. It's John. She's so excited. Another one, I love Subway solely for the Italian urban cheese bread. Okay. The jam sounds fantastic. Take my money.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go through all these.
We'll put
comments.
the links to everything in our
Oh.
description too, so you guys can just click on it and go right to the website.
And one of my favorite comments, we love you, Fluffy Pat. I mean, you're talking about being fat
Fluff-
Pat.
Fluffy
Fluffy.
Pat, yeah. Yeah,
Fluffy
Fat
Pat.
Pat, Chief Pat.
Fluffy
Yep.
Pat.
Mm-hmm.
There you
Fat
go.
Pat. Fat
And
Pat
then
Brown. I mean, it was
also,
perfect name for me.
JT, if you look up here,
Yeah.
let's see, I'm trying to do my hand right there. See my little rack. So
Those
I've become
peacocks.
a cat dad.
Oh, those
That's
are
my little.
cats.
So those are I've converted my office to cat dad. So Principessa, who I found my niece found her under our deck. She was 3 months old, and we live trapped her, and so I bonded with her, and I was always a dog person. I would have bet money I was never going to be a cat dad. And if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see I have made the conversion to cat dad completely and in a very extreme kind of way.
Never say never.
So when we found her, she was about 3 months old. And so based on her weight, so I gave her April 1st as her birthday. So today is her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
When she comes and says hi, I'll make
guy at
sure
work-
she makes an appearance.
The
Very
guy at
good.
work loves cats. I love cats. You're a cat dad. He got me this mug yesterday. It says cat dad on it.
Yep.
That's on my desk. So you got to get
I've
one
got
of
a mug here that they gave me for the holidays. It says, I may be small and mighty, but I'll still fight you.
I think you can find one that says cat daddy. I think you're more of a daddy.
Cat
yeah, there
daddy.
you go. Hey, what's up, dad? Yeah, cat daddy.
Cat
That's
daddy.
right. Cat poppy.
Oh my God.
So
a
Prince of
dance
Pace will
move.
make an appearance next week, so you can see her. She
Oh, we can't
is
wait.
awesome. She is she follows
be
me
great.
everywhere. Every meeting I'm in, she's always right there in a chair or whatever, just kind of doing her thing. So I
That's
say if you
awesome.
can adopt, do it
Mhm.
is amazing, especially cats. There's lots of them that are out there, and I'm allergic to cats, but for some reason I'm not allergic to her. I
Oh,
take
that's-
Maybe
Clonase
you've
and my
outgrown
Zyrtec.
it, John. You know,
What's that?
some people get an allergy later in life. Maybe
Yeah.
you outgrew your allergy.
Maybe I did. Yeah. If I touch my
Mm-hmm.
eyes, that's the only place that I have a problem is if I pet her and I
Mhm.
go to rub my eye, then, but I don't get the sniffles or anything.
That's
She's
awesome.
all up in my face and all that stuff. So anyway, but yeah, if you have
Cool.
an opportunity to rescue a cat
Mhm.
or a kitten and you live in an apartment, you know, they are
Mhm.
amazing
The
companions.
best.
And, yeah, so I
I'm so
highly
glad you
recommend it.
found this out. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
I love being a cat dad. So, okay, guys, it was
Super.
great
Thank you so
seeing
much.
everybody. Reagan, it was
bet.
nice meeting
It
and
was nice
seeing
meeting
you.
you as well.
I'll see you
All right,
next week,
guys.
and I'll bring my cup and my TikTok and a story or two.
Perfect.
Perfect.
And I'll
Thanks
tell
so
you some
much.
other projects that I'm working on.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Okay.
And thank you to Centris Federal Credit Union. Just going to throw that out there because they
Yes.
are our partners for the year, whether they
Yep.
like it or not.
That's right. Thanks, Johnny. We'll see you next week, buddy. Reagan, thank you for everything. Also, you were great.
Thank you.
And they're gone. Okay, there you go. Johnny's gone. And you guys continue to follow us on. Okay, bye. Johnny just keeps popping back up.
First he
follow us
couldn't get
on
in here, now we
Instagram.
can't get rid of him.
Right, I know. That's funny.
Out.
So
Bye-bye.
yeah, it's Pat and JT on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also and make sure here on Monday as well. We do our Facebook Live on Monday too. So thank you guys for listening and watching.
Pat and JT podcast.
What is going on?
I don't know. There's something wrong with the internet. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully this works. I don't know. Nothing's playing. I don't know. We'll just sit
Are
here
we
until
still
it
live?
catches up. Yeah. You're still live. It won't make me not go live. So I'm gonna try to.
We're still live,
We're
Pat.
live.
We're still live. I know. I'm trying to get us to go off live.
Oh my
This is
God.
BTS. Okay, we might end live any second. Like literally, it's just frozen. Okay, try this.